Hi everyone, and welcome to this video where I'm going to talk to you about things that I really wish that I'd considered before starting a family. I was initially going to direct this towards women and also pharmacists, but I think it's quite relevant for those that aren't women in pharmacy, and also it's quite relevant for men. Your wife might be in work, or your colleague, or your best friend, anyone. So I think that it is relevant for everyone to know, hence why this video is going to be about just things that I wish I knew before starting a family as a woman in the workplace. The first point is, when you start a new job, ask for the maternity policy. I would still ask for it even if you're thinking about starting a family 5 years, 10 years down the line, just so you have some sort of awareness. I job hopped. So I worked in community pharmacy, I worked in hospital pharmacy, and then I ended up in primary care. I did know that those contracts did not align, like they weren't continuous contracts. If you're somebody who's working for a company for a long time, such as the NHS, and you just simply move around hospitals and you've been working continuously, it's not relevant to you per se because you'll probably be qualified for maternity leave. However, for those who job hop, I really was not aware of how I wouldn't qualify. So I worked for a number of years under the NHS, and then I finally ended up in primary care, and the contract was kind of private, kind of NHS, and I thought that those would all be continuous. However, all of those years that I'd worked in hospital didn't count. I did actually ask for the maternity policy when I started work in primary care. However, I didn't really understand it. I misunderstood it basically. In that contract, it said something like, you have to have worked for 26 weeks continuously to be entitled to maternity leave. So I just thought, okay, it's fine. Like, as long as I worked there for 26 weeks, that's basically 6 months. That's okay, I'll be entitled to maternity leave. No, there is something that is known as the qualifying week. Bear with me. So, if you start a job and you are thinking of starting a family, go on the government website and pretend that you are pregnant today and your due date is 9 months ahead. That will tell you on this government calculator between what dates that you have to have worked for the company to then be entitled for maternity leave. I know it sounds complicated, but I'll show you an example on the government website at the end, and stick around if you're interested. But basically, all in all, don't start a job and just get pregnant, basically. Otherwise, you're not going to be entitled to anything. Luckily, I was okay because my husband could finance things, but I'll go into that later and how many problems it caused for us down the line. What I'm saying is, ask HR for the maternity policy, read it properly, and use the government website to figure out how long you need to work there before you're qualified for maternity leave. And like I said, I'll show you an example at the end. The second thing I really want you to do is research 3 nurseries that are near you and ask them for their price list. So this definitely makes it more real. I kind of wish that, I probably wouldn't have anyway, but I wish that I'd saved up for nursery. The nurseries around my area right now are approximately £1,500 to £2,000 a month. I think if I'd seen that, I would have woken up a bit and started saving a lot earlier. Again, you can't plan everything, and my main concern at the time was I might not even be fertile, so let's not go get ahead of myself. But that money can be saved anyway, and if you end up not being able to have a baby, you've saved more money. So what I would say is, regardless of if you know you are fertile or not, if you are thinking of starting a family far ahead in the future even, just be aware of nursery fees. It makes it more real. The next point that I want to say is, if you can, try and get all of your qualifications. So my aim was to get independent prescribing, so I've done my diploma. I wanted to then get IP. If I think back on it, I would have probably considered and hoped that I got IP before I had my baby. I didn't manage to do that. So if that is something that you are wanting to think about, definitely plan ahead in that aspect. Again, I know you can't control everything, but that's something that I kind of not necessarily regret, because I'm really glad that everything happened the way it did. But yeah, putting it out there. Another point that I want to say alongside that point is to consider getting your promotion if you want to go for a promotion, again, before you start a family. It's not highly necessary. You can still start a family in pre-registration. You can still start a family in band 5 or band 6. But I would say ideally get to where you want to go roughly before you consider it, only because then again, it impacts your maternity leave pay. Another thing I would consider if you are starting a family is to think about, can you afford never going back to work? So that might be something that you want to consider. You might never want to go back. You just don't know. You need to plan for every situation. Think about it. Can you afford never going back? And when you consider the nursery fees and your pay, is it worth going back or is it not? So I think as a band 6, I was earning like 2,000 a month. I might have been more or less. I can't remember exactly, but my take home was roughly around that. If I was a band 6, then I probably would just consider not going back to work, only because nursery fees are similar to that. Think about it, make that decision. Also really think about what you would do if one of you within your partnership, if there is a partnership, lost your job. So for my situation, I've been unpaid and I was on government pay, which is I think something around £600 to £700 a month, and that also wasn't all throughout the year. I think I got paid for like 6 months or something like that. My husband then was made redundant alongside his whole team at work. So that really threw a spanner in the works because I was not getting a salary and then he lost his job. So you really need to think about the unplanned. Usually it works out fine. So in our situation, he got a job straight away afterwards. So there wasn't any great issue, but I think if he hadn't managed to get a job, things would be a lot different. And also, if he didn't have a job in general, I think that would be really difficult. I don't know what I would have done with this year financially if he didn't have a job. So these are things that I really want you to consider. Like, I really, really want you to consider. The aim of my videos isn't to get like loads of subscribers and loads of attention. It's really to share information and share my downfalls so that you don't make the same mistakes. You have to think about all sorts of possibilities. Plan ahead. Another thing to consider and ask is how many keep in touch days that you're entitled to. For my workplace, you're entitled to 10 keep in touch days. So you're allowed to work up to 10 days, go back to work, keep in touch, keep your knowledge up to date, and you can also earn money as well whilst doing that. I didn't do that because when my husband lost his job, we wanted the time together with our baby. So I didn't want to go back to work and earn money because I felt like the time that we spent together was more important. However, if you are financially struggling or you just want to keep your knowledge up to date, these keep in touch days are critical. So ask your workplace how many keep in touch days that you are entitled to. Another thing to note is that you will not be exempt from revalidation fees. So the GPHC is going to expect that you're going to pay them the regular fee even if you haven't practiced for a year. So although I have not practiced as a pharmacist for a year, I still had to pay the £276 revalidation fee. So just to bear that in mind as well. And one final thing to consider is really think about who is my support system, who is my village. Which friends are going to turn up at your door when you're struggling? Which ones are going to help you if you want to see them but you're not earning any money? Which ones are going to consider that? Quite a lot of my friends really did think about that when they met up with me. Some did, some didn't, but I was really grateful for the ones that did think about the fact that I wouldn't have a salary, and the ones that came to my door, the ones that helped me out. Like, I will never forget those friends. So think about who your support system is and whether you have the support system. And yeah, those are some really realistic things that I'd like you to think about. Mainly finances. I think that we should all be a lot more open with our finances. So here's me telling you that I was literally broke for a whole year and I wouldn't have been able to get through it. I'd be on the streets literally if it wasn't for my husband. Plan ahead. Even if you don't know whether you're fertile or not, really think about it and really read those policies and think ahead. And if you're not sure, either speak to HR or ask someone who's been through it, because once you've been through it, you kind of have that awareness. I was so naive going into all of this. I just was like, yeah, it'll all be fine. And it did end up fine, don't get me wrong, but there are things that I wish I could go back and rethink. Overall, I hope that this video helps you. I hope this video helps you if you're considering starting a family. I hope this video helps you if you've got friends or colleagues that are thinking about going on maternity. One last thing I want to really share to everyone is that maternity leave is harder than work. The year of maternity leave, for me, like, work is a walk in the park. Like, you know, you get your rest, you get your breaks. So don't treat maternity leave like it's some year off. I got so many messages from people who haven't had children yet saying like, enjoy the year off, enjoy your time off. For me, it's not been like a year off. It's been go, go, go 24/7. So yeah, that is all of my points. I hope this video helps you, and ask me any questions and I'll just go through the qualifying week thing right now and just show you how to calculate that. So I'll insert that clip here.
Okay, so this is the government website, which I will link down below, which you can use to basically let you know when you need to have started work to be entitled for maternity pay from your current company. So if you just press start now, say that you want to check for the mother, and if we just imagine that you are pregnant today and your baby is due 9 months from now, that would be March 2025, and press continue. And then imagine you want to start on the same day, your maternity leave on the same day that the baby's born, just for ease of calculating this. If you write here that you didn't have a contract at this point, but you have a contract with the company now, then what it tells you is the dates of when you must have worked between to be entitled to get that money. So for you to be entitled to get money from your company currently, you need to have worked from the 25th of May and the 10th of November. meaning that if you started work today in June, as I'm filming this, you would not be entitled for pay, which is basically what happened to me. So I was pregnant and already pregnant when I started my current job, and I hadn't worked between those two dates, hence why I wasn't entitled to getting any pay. So yeah, this website is really handy to calculate that.
And yeah, I hope that you have enjoyed this video and it's helpful, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!